President Trump has signed a proclamation fully banning or partially restricting travel into the U.S. by people from 19 countries. The move echoes a travel ban Trump instituted during his first administration. Trump says the aim is to protect the country from dangerous foreign actors. The proclamation drew outrage from human rights groups that called it racist and cruel. Joining me now is the Hill's White House reporter, Brett Samuels, with more. Brett, let's put the countries up on the screen so people can see what we're talking about here. Why these 19 countries?
Yeah, Drew. Well, the logic from the Trump administration that this is based on national security concerns, that these are countries, particularly those where travel is fully banned, and there's a dozen of those. That in those cases, it has to do with vetting, that the Trump administration says that these countries don't have satisfactory vetting in place to prevent potential dangerous actors from entering the United States. So that is sort of the grounds that the Trump administration is using for this, which of course, in theory would insulate them against the same kind of legal challenges that Trump's travel ban during his first term faced.
Critics include Human Rights First, Amnesty International, Democrats in Congress. They basically say this is really meant to be a distraction from Trump's bigger problems, namely his split and feud with Elon Musk over his big, beautiful bill. But they do also argue that there are real-world impacts to this move. What are they?
Yeah, we've seen from Democrats and human rights groups, as you mentioned, calling this inhumane and warning that it will have these serious repercussions on folks around the world. Obviously the concern is that this is a blanket ban that prevents the entry of nationals from countries who are facing real issues, and including real human rights issues. When you look at places like, Somalia, for example, Eritrea, other nations where certainly not everyone who is trying to come to the United States from those nations is necessarily a dangerous actor. These are places that could use help, and some people are trying to escape bad situations. The same goes for those 7 nations where travel is partially restricted, which includes Venezuela, Cuba, and a handful of others. So certainly the argument is that this is, cruel, that it's unfair, that it's inhumane to just offer sort of a blanket ban on all nationals coming from these different countries.
Is Trump on solid legal footing here? He faced challenges when he tried to do this the first time around. What do legal scholars and experts think about the legality of what he's trying to do here?
Yeah, certainly I think, he is on stronger legal footing this time around, in part because eventually he did issue a travel ban during his first term that the Supreme Court upheld, that was held up on legal grounds there. So that sort of provides the basis. As I mentioned, obviously, the fact that national security concerns and sort of vetting concerns has been the rationale here, as opposed to his first term, where it was the original travel ban was targeting 7 Muslim majority countries. So it was sort of quickly struck down, and the argument was that it was targeting countries based on nationality and religion. Certainly this time around, it's more of a grab bag of countries in that sense. So not quite as strong of a legal case to be made against it by its opponents necessarily.
The list is also interesting for the countries that are not included. Egypt is not on the list. The man involved in this violent attack in Colorado on Jewish activists that the Trump administration has blamed on the country's migration policy. He was from Egypt. Syria also not on the list. The country is run by a former member of Al-Qaeda and was on the ban list from the first Trump term.
Yeah, North Korea, another country that was on the travel ban list during Trump's first term and is not anywhere to be seen on the list this time around. Certainly, I think interesting to look at those and maybe read into sort of the geopolitical tea leaves. Obviously, Syria. That's a country where the Trump administration just announced it was lifting sanctions on Syria at the urging of some allies to try and give the new government there a chance at success and sort of prosperity. North Korea, obviously, Trump sort of developed that relationship with Kim Jong-un, and they had those 2 in-person summits during Trump's first term. So they are in a very different place than when that first travel ban was sort of issued. So certainly very notable, I think, to look at some of the countries that have fallen off the list, some of the countries that have been added to the list. Afghanistan, for example, added to the list this time around. And certainly, I think, notable to see sort of the differences between that first term list and this list, which is larger.
Yeah, and Afghanistan being included will be a particular concern to veterans of the conflict there. many allies of the U.S. government and U.S. military in that country still struggling to get out of the country. But for now, we'll have to leave this issue at that. Brett Samuels, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Drew.